We are here, the real therapist for the culture. I am Dr. L.
And I am Sophia Cox.
We're back in this building.
We are. I'm super excited to be here. I felt like when a couple of weeks go by, I'm like, my mind, topics start coming up, and it's like, don't forget to write them down. So I start to miss when we're not in the lab.
Yeah, in the studio.
I like to call it the lab because the
like
way
to feel
I
like
grew
a
up
rapper.
in Brooklyn, like
a drug lab?
Yeah, like everything is the lab. Like the studio's the lab, cooking up coke is the lab. Like everything is the lab. So, you know what I'm saying? Like you think about science lab, right? So, you know, I'm a nerd too, right? So when you think about being in a lab, science, like you are doing experiments, creating, manifesting, making shit come to life. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So we in the lab today. That's how we feeling.
All right. What's up, though? I miss you.
I miss you, too. So I was telling someone yesterday, you know, that how maintaining relationships are challenging as you get older. And a lot of times people are only thinking about like intimate relationships, like, finding a man or working on my marriage and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know, no, I feel you. I'm not taking anything away from that, but that's the norm. But there's this other part that gets neglected, are the friendships, right? Your lifers, even your associates, whatever it is. Like you spend so much time, if you have children, all these suckers are in sports and dance and stuff like that. Then relationships, them intimate. Then you have the family relationships. And I feel like it's important to make sure that you are still watering the friendships. Like I realize I get lonely in the sense of missing that. You know, like it's not a lot of friends who I could fine dine with. We could run up a $300-$400 bill and no one's looking like, oh my God, I didn't get the calamari. You the one who wanted Mo at this time. All I had was a sangria. Like it's nothing of that. And everybody isn't on that type of time.
Yep.
Most of my lifers and close friends, many of them live in another state. So it's just like, you know, it was a refreshing conversation.
More effort.
Reminding that you have to be intentional.
Yes.
Because we live in the same state, but to me, you live so far, it feels like you live in another state. I don't see you often.
But yeah, I was just talking about that to your cousin. I was like, yeah, Soph don't come to our side. I said, and
oh wow, you gonna say that to my family though?
I said, and before she leaves, she has to make sure that you know, studio is ready and on go. She was like, yeah, because it's a 45-minute drive. That's just something stupid about like this area anyway.
No,
but
it really
whatever.
is. But it's like things happen, like homes, and just I feel like I see you the same way that I see
somebody who lives
my sister who lives in New York. Yeah, and that's not okay. So, you know, just be mindful of it. This year, I am intentional of dating my friends more. You are the person who I say we date, but honestly, I haven't been dating my other friends.
I'm going to just sip my tea.
So I'm bringing a topic today, and I guess this is a perfect little segue. You know how we come up with topics, what's just showing up in our space, in our spirit, personally, professionally. So I felt like a lot of times when I'm talking to myself, professionally or personally, people are still seeking validation. A lot. Does that show up in your sessions or even talking to friends? And remember, like seeking validation sometimes is completely overt or it's really kind of low key and subtle.
Seeking validations in what sense?
All right, let's jump right in, right? The definition of validation. I took notes for you guys today.
Okay.
Validation is the desire to have someone else's approval or agreement with what you say, believe, or do. Pretty black and white. Want me to read it again?
Yep.
Validation.
One more time for me.
Exactly. The desire to have someone else's approval or agreement with what you say, believe, or even do.
Yes.
Would you add anything to that definition? This is one of the Psychology Today ones that I grabbed. which is always pretty sound for me. I really like theirs. But even Marian, another psychology one, wasn't far off from that. But looking at this definition or hearing this definition, would you add anything to that?
I think it's a pretty catch-all. Like the seeking of approval. I think even when we get into that, it starts to have other layers underneath it. Yeah. But yes, I do think that definition basically
covers.
I think, okay, not just approval, but I would add encouragement. I would add encouragement to that, because a lot of people, it's almost like, okay, I can come and I can have a conversation with you, and you're my friend who says, all right, if you rocking, I'm rolling, right? But another friend may actually like really put the battery in my back and be like, you should do this. And so it's almost, that's the encouragement piece.
Yeah.
And so, yes.
Cool. We could add, right? So not only someone else's approval, that falls a little under agreement with me, but I also like encouragement exaggerates it a little bit more, right? Because sometimes it's not just the approval. I just need somebody to agree with what I'm doing, which then gives me confirmation to support whatever I'm saying, whatever I believe or doing, or adding encouragement to it, like just gassing it, like. Okay. So do you find that you have those conversations often with people? Is it directly or even indirectly of, hey, it seems like you are seeking validation from your spouse, from your kids. You need to hear you're a good mom every day. Or, do you run into that?
Yes. And doing a quick scan, right? Doing a quick scan, I think what ends up happening is people do this disclaimer where it's like, I mean, I don't care what nobody else thinks.
That's my favorite. Right? That's my favorite. Because I'm going to do what I'm going to do regardless. Like,
I mean, it's not like I really care what anybody else says, but it's almost like nobody understands and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, favorite. Well, it sounds like you want. No. It's like, you know what I mean? So yes, it does. So maybe what you said was, is it overt?
Yes.
I think that depending on the conversation, just generally speaking, mothers do want to hear. And they don't have any shame in saying, I want to hear that I'm a good mother.
After Christmas, I felt like I heard 5 mothers say, like, they didn't even tell me they were so excited. They was, fuck Santa Claus. Like, they didn't even tell me. I went all out for them.
Yeah. Mothers want to hear, like, hey, you're a good mom. But maybe in your relationship, people don't mind saying like, yeah, I want to hear that I'm doing a good job. I want to be appreciated and stuff like that. But when it comes to like generally speaking, then there's people like, well, I really don't care what other people think. Well, okay, why are we having conversations with everybody in our circle about it then? And mad that they're not giving you the feedback that you really want.
Exactly. I love that perspective, because that's what you have, this dichotomy of one side of people where they may not be using the language of I'm seeking validation, but you see it in their self-esteem, their self-worth, that until they get this approval from others, it's hard for them to move forward, right?
Yeah.
And then you get the other side of, I'm strong, I'm good, I really don't care what anyone says, but then you see the subtle where we're having this conversation, you done told 10 people about this decision or, what the next move is. So hopefully the goal is that our listeners walk away with the language and being okay with saying, oh, wow, I'm aware that I was seeking validation from this experience. That awareness, you constantly hear us say that awareness is what shifts behavior. If you don't even acknowledge what you're doing, what are we changing here? You keep saying, I want this outcome, but can't even get to the part of the awareness, the acknowledgement, and even some acceptance so that now I could kind of do something a little different.
Yeah, I think what just came to my mind too, though, is that decision making goes in there. And so when people have difficulty making decisions and they're seeking validation and don't get it, they start to question the decision.
Yep. You jump in, but it's hard not to, because this is the way our mind works, right? But yes, I just was saying that it's important that we understand the terms, become comfortable with the vocabulary, and owning that's what I'm doing, opposed to this whole I really don't care kind of thing, right? But there is another piece that I really want to emphasize here, is that seeking validation isn't always a negative thing. When you think about what psychologically or psychology theorists like Maslow teach us, that's a part of the hierarchy of needs, that you want to feel like you are socially, accepted, emotionally, and belonging, right? And sometimes to feel accepted and that you belong is due to validation. When you think about children, right, going into school, so pre-K is not mandatory, but say kids are in pre-K, they are seeking validation from their peers, like, oh, your dress was nice. I remember one time somebody said Journey was eating something. It was like, ew, you eat that?
Guacamole.
Yes. Oh, you eat that, right? So if, and that was in third grade or so, but in pre-K, that may have said like, I like guacamole, Ma, but don't send it to school. You know what I'm saying? So we are like raised in society where that does play a part. Where it gets to a place where it's unhealthy is it stunts your growth, your decision making, because you can't move forward until someone has provided you with some validation. So be clear that validation is okay. There are healthy levels to it. I do want to hear my children say, that I keep calling him 8 and he is 9 now. Jeez, that 9-year-old, he provides me with a lot of validation. We went to a Towson and Hampton game, and look, you got your Hampton HU hoodie on, right? Mm-hmm. We go to a game, and he's like, we bet a lot in my household.
Gamble? A little bit? Okay.
We do, right? So we walking in, and the 9-year-old is like, yo, which team? Zayana goes to Hampton, but he was like, you went here and taught here. And I was like, well, actually, I didn't teach at Towson. But I love the fact that he knows my CV, right? So he was like, I was like, well, I pay tuition right now at Hampton, so I'm a bet on Hampton. And he was like, well, the school that you went to and I felt like you learned and who you are is because of that. I'm putting my $5 on Towson. That was such validation for me. Like, one, this kid thinks I'm smart. And he's like, you're dope. And he attributed to Towson, which is, whatever. But
it doesn't matter.
Exactly. I felt validated in that moment. That he remembered, that he paid attention. I don't talk about Towson much. I talk about Morgan more than anything, right? So I felt validated. It's okay, right? It's when it starts to go where we're basing all or a lot of our decisions based off of somebody else's feedback. So this is the part. No, go ahead.
Would you put validation in the same bucket as reinforcement?
So okay.
And reinforcement, is it just another level up? And it doesn't have to be verbal, actually, but just reinforcement. So
no, right? And so you know how we move, like definition wise, right? So when you think about reinforcement is designed to either increase or decrease desired or undesired behavior.
Psych 101.
Exactly, right? So
okay.
I wouldn't say that it's reinforcing, because it's like, I may praise you because I want you to know that I'm proud that you got these good grades, right? So that is positive reinforcement. I'm adding something to you. I'm giving you encouragement. I'm saying, good job, applaud, here's $5 for your grades, right? I think that can turn into validation.
Okay.
but not that they are intertwined. But now that you've given me this praise, right? Mm-hmm. When I don't do well and I'm not being reinforced, now I may be seeking validation to continue the behavior.
Got you.
You see how? Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, that's how I would put them together. So at the end of the day, people are acknowledging like, damn, I didn't realize how much I care about my mother's opinion or my friends' opinions of who I am. The other question is for you to start to go in that underbelly is when and why are people seeking validation? This was kind of when you was like going into the decision making and then the doubt and stuff like that. And I was like, well, slow down. Because this is where we get to discover that. Why or when are people starting to seek validation? What's the reason? Where it's not healthy anymore, where it's like, of course I want to feel accepted and like I belong, but now it's impacting the bulk of my decision making. When does that happen?
So I don't know if I'm going to answer your question, but I'm going to tell you what just came to my mind.
Okay.
Right. I'm thinking about it in terms of maintaining the connection of relationships.
Okay.
Right. And so in the event that someone important to you doesn't validate your decision, you may question your decision, and then there may be an interrupted in the relationship. Perfect example. We share here. So I am building a house, right? House is almost built. And
yes, this is good. That's good. I hate when I do that, right? But know where you're going, and I'm excited before you even finished it.
So, before I decided to do this, I shared it with my father, and my father was against it. He absolutely did the opposite of any validation. And I've talked to Sophia about this, right? And so since I sat in the space for a minute before I decided to move forward, because somebody who I looked to, somebody really important to me, was like, basically like, no, this is bad. And so I still did it because that's just me. But I haven't shared with him anything about the process since the process started. And so something big is happening in my life, and in conversations with my father, I haven't said anything to him about it since then. So the other day, probably just 2 days ago, I was like, and I sat and I thought about it. I sent him the picture, the updated picture, and it was like how old are you?
Yes, exactly.
Right? So I sat there and I was like, my house is almost done and we're moving next month. And I just waited for the bubble. I am a whole 40 and a half years old, right?
18 years practicing, and just see how this still shows up in all of us. So
it got into my decision-making process, but then the lack of validation, it interrupted the relationship for a little while, where I didn't even, want to share this thing. Yeah. And so,
So thank you for sharing that, because I think sometimes people have this image of, oh, y'all got it figured out. Like, you've been doing this for so long, you chronologically this age. And to see that 2 days ago, it was like, what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it, and then sat like this was her whole boyfriend. Like, what are you going to say back? Like, did he read it yet? Did he, like, that is a form of seeking validation. No, it didn't stunt her growth. It didn't stop the decision making, but just the awareness of how it impacted you emotionally.
It did.
When you sat with it and you thought about it. You and I have shared this with you. When I first was going to private practice, Dr. L was like, well, you could just keep doing what you're doing. Like, you got this cushy position over here. Yeah, it's hard work, but you do this with your eyes closed. You make this amount of money, and you doing private practice part-time. What's the point of taking this risk and you don't really know how that's going to play out? no lie, I tossed and turned all night because one of the people who I may talk to about this field and stuff like that is her, right? And it was like, man, maybe I shouldn't. Like, I fasted 3 days, like, to make sure that I was clear. And it wasn't nothing malicious or even intentional. It was just you expressing that, but not receiving the validation that I thought that I needed. I questioned. Like you said, I still moved forward. I put the resignation in the next day. But it still was like, damn, did I really think this thoroughly? Like, I could be making this amount of money. I'm taking this risk. Like, so it happens to all of us. So I do feel like your response is more so how seeking validation could affect you.
So I think it shows it definitely, because I went back to what your question was when does it happen? I think it is likely to happen when considering important relationships or relationships that you value. And for everybody it's different, because some people may really, really, really seek validation from a boss, whereas I probably could not care less about it. You know what I mean? And so it, depending on who it's coming from.
Exactly, how you view that relationship. Absolutely. Some of the other things of when do we seek validation is when fear is driving us, right? Big decisions like purchasing a home, leaving a job,
breaking up with your boyfriend,
leaving a marriage, moving to another state, something that you perceive. Always be clear about that. What you perceive to be super important, and there's already fear there. That is usually when you are on the horn, you done called about 6 people, because there's already fear there. So always be mindful, and I'm throwing in a takeaway now, right? Always be mindful of when fear is already there, to ground yourself and get in tune with you first, because if not, you just drive it more and more because someone else, it's your vision, right? It's not a community vision. So it's like, oh yeah, I want to leave and I want to start my lash company. And somebody like, girl, it's 1,000 lash techs out here now. Like, now the fear has went from level 2. Now it's at 5, because now, of course, you know how our phones are tapped. You don't go on social media and the next 7 things you see is lash text, right?
Yep.
So it's like, now you call your grandmother, and your grandmother who's old school, like, well, you gonna leave a state position? Like, you already at whatever top 15 or tier, whatever, how it's broken down. You could retire there in 15 years. Now the fear is at an 8. So a lot of time we seek validation when fear is there. And that kind of segues into the doubt. Right? So past decisions will impact your confidence or doubt that you have in future decision making.
Absolutely.
So if I already have been in 2 previous relationships and I've already doubted the fact that I stayed in that relationship too long, I endured too much, I didn't set boundaries, I didn't use my voice, everything your therapist in your circle have told you. Now in this current relationship, you need to seek validation because you are already doubtful because of the past experiences that you have deemed are mistakes. What else? What else do you feel like drives? So now you see that we talk about fear, past mistakes, doubts.
So I think this goes in with fear, but it's the additional piece is the wanting to avoid disappointment. And it could be along like a perfectionist type of lines, but it doesn't have to be. But not wanting to deal with disappointment.
Yeah. Yes. And that's still connected to you holding on and not releasing the past experiences, right? Because if you don't have this whole long list of disappointments, you don't mind taking a risk because you haven't experienced it, right?
But and I don't even think you have to have experienced disappointments. It's just the thought of a disappointment. It's the thought that, I put this whole outfit together and nobody told me I look nice, and I went out and nobody tried to holler at me. I ain't get no numbers, nothing. And it's like, I did all of this for what?
Yeah.
Disappointment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. So even insecurities plays a big part of seeking validation. That's connected to the way you see yourself, that self-worth and self-esteem, right? They are separate, but they all will have you chasing validation, even down to social media, right? I am technologically, what's a fancy, not fancy word, but a good word that some disability act won't come for us. I am inept. Right? So I'm not that good with social media stuff, right? And I want to figure out how to remove my likes. People don't even realize that that's a form of validation when you pay attention to it. Not that you just have them. Somebody could have 300 likes and don't think twice of it. But when you find that people will post a picture and be like, damn, I only got 28 likes. I should probably take it down and put another one up, change the filter. That is a form of seeking validation.
You see people do that?
What the fuck? Yes, absolutely. And not just, people love to say that it's the ex-kids that's doing it. Hell no. I watch grown people say, damn, I was in Maldives and I only got 38 likes. I'm on a private island. How is that possible? And I'm like, what? Or this is what I have seen or said myself. When I do go down and I'll see that someone had 8 likes, I'll be like, oh. I'm saying, how come they only have 8 likes? And you got 3,000 followers. That math ain't mathing to me. Like, do you know these people? Do you not know these people? But again, all of that is form of validation. Someone said to me the other day, oh yeah, I don't really do IG. I don't really get a lot of love over there. So Facebook is my thing. And I was like, what you mean? I get 500 likes on Facebook and 30 on IG. So I put all of my business stuff on there. And it was like, oh. But yes, social media is very much a form of validation.
Yes.
So I do like that they have given you the opportunity. I don't be getting it
all the way, but yes.
To remove the likes so you can't even see or track my page. I don't even have to see it. Or even just looking at people's lives. That becomes invalidating of where you are.
And so, okay, so the other level with the whole social media thing is the validation comparisons.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, I can't tell you how many conversations I've mediated about, well, you posted to your page happy birthday to her, but you ain't even put me in your story. Or even in relationships, it's like, you out here acting like a single man, and nobody would know you had a family and even children.
Validation. So you can't ignore that. If you are not in tune of who you are, you will get sucked into it. And all of us, insecurities is another, what I just said, right? So we all have insecurities at time, right?
Absolutely.
So when you have medium that is constantly invalidating or validating who you are, you can't dodge it. But once you are aware of it, it's like, that's the time where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna put my phone down today. Me and my husband, we're not in the best space. Last thing I need to see is Kay and Deval with a book right now. And then it's like, why don't we have a book? Like, you just gotta be aware so you can know how to move.
Yeah.
But social media, it's all about it. Like, oh, what kind of, from the filter to the accounts to the numbers, how many pictures you done posted, it's all about seeking. You know, even when people say, oh, you thirst trapping, what they're saying is you're seeking validation from the external. That's another word.
I'm gonna do this month. I'm gonna
like a OnlyFans page.
No.
Because you be saying
You think I could get an OnlyFans page?
Yes, but you be saying something so hype and watch you say something.
Y'all see how she be validating me? I'll be like, can I get one? Yes, you can, Suge. Like, do you see this? This is ridiculous.
Yes,
This is terrible.
But you'll say something to get me so hyped, and then you'll say, like, oh, I'm just going to show a little cleavage this month. Like,
no, I know.
How are you going to do it? Go.
I'm gonna find me a random dude and I'm gonna take a picture of his hand. I'm gonna post it to my story like this, and I'm just want to see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Or take a picture with the person and then put the smiley face over their head, no face, no case. Yeah. That's my favorite.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna see what happens because I just want to see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And watch all of the invalidating or validating comments you get. Oh, word, you in a relationship now? You didn't, like, it's just bad. Like, we're laughing, but social media will really pull so many people in.
It's terrible.
I've been trying to reframe my language because for a long time I said I hate it. And I don't want to say I hate it, but I hate the impact that it can have on people.
Yeah.
So we got all of these different things: mistakes, doubts, insecurity, fear, just being depressed and anxious. You know, sometimes people will even look for validation, like, do you think I'm really sad? Like, do you think I'm depressed? And it's like, well, you are with you. You know, like, how you asking somebody else, like, do it seem like I'm, like, even down to, you think I should see a therapist? How the fuck would I know if you should see a therapist?
Because you a therapist. And I'm going to get the validation from the therapist. Duh.
But even that, right? Clients will come and it's like, tell me, was that wrong? And I'll be like, listen, you asking that speaks volumes. Do you feel like that was wrong?
That's it.
Kind of. There we go. Let's explore that. So even someone coming seeking support, seeking validation in that. I want my therapist to tell me you were right for feeling that way. Mm-hmm. And what I say is, like, no one could ever question what your feelings feel.
Absolutely.
That's yours. How you respond, that's a different conversation. Mm-hmm. But what you feel, that's all yours. You never have to argue that. But people will make you feel like, oh, no, that's not what it was. Okay, that wasn't your intent. That's not what you meant, any of that. But what I felt as a result from your behavior, that's real and that's mine. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's it, right? Okay, so when we think about all the reasons, be clear and sit with yourself and ask, like, are these things showing up? And if not, tell us some things that we may have missed. Jealousy is another one.
Tell me what you mean. Jealousy, like feeling jealous because of lack of validation?
Mm-mm. Like, because I am jealous of maybe your situation, what you have, then I start to seek validation.
Okay.
Because I'm jealous of where you are, what you've accomplished. We may have we went to school together, and here, oh, you got a private practice. So now I'm seeking validation with my clients, with people in my life, in other business arenas. So that feeling of jealousy could put you in a place where you start to seek validation more. Mm-hmm. Do you get that?
Yep.
So it's that, and that one threw me for a loop, but it made so much sense when it was like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense.
This is another perfect example of how jealousy, you out on a double date. I don't double date much. I don't, like,
if
I'm lying. I double date with the friend Paul.
I was about to say you double date,
but that they it's family, so I guess I almost failed to see it as double date, but we do double date. But here's the example that I'm giving you on a double date, or just out, and it's like they look all lovey-dovey. He paid for that bill quickly. Like, we over here calculating coins. Like, oh, how much you got on this? I didn't get a hug or any kind of affection the whole time. And some jealousy comes up from that. And now when I go home, what am I doing?
You about to have an argument.
Why you don't do that? You ain't compliment me not once. Like, you didn't
show me. My God, he covered the whole bill and we still splitting it?
he covered the whole bill and you let that man cover the whole bill. You didn't even say like, nah, bro, I got it. Like, I got half on it, here's my tip. Like that kind of stuff is how jealousy could, now you're going home seeking this from your partner. I feel unappreciated, and now you're on social media.
Yeah, going off.
Thirst trapping, sewing some shit in the road with your thigh out. Lonely nights. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Your husband is right next to you. Like, again, seeking validation.
Yeah.
So as I read jealousy, they didn't give a description, but it came to me so clear. Like, that's what happened. You calling this friendship goals. You calling this relationship goals, evoking some jealousy, and now you're seeking a validation.
Comedian dude Vontae, I like him, right?
I don't know him.
You know?
He from social media or he
Yes.
in real life?
Baltimore social media.
Okay.
He funny. I think it's just his voice that makes me laugh. But anywho, he was talking about some when women take matters into their own hands, and he going into the grocery store buying his own flowers, taking pictures of the flowers like, oh, I love me some him. Look what Bae just did, and then start crying because you out here trying to create this whole scenario, and because of validation.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that's another one of why we seek validation: loneliness. You know, feeling like I'm alone. I haven't dated in a while. I haven't been in a relationship in a while. And then even when you start dating, you're seeking validation from this new person. Like, it's like, this the first date. And sis, you like, how I look. You know, what you like about me. Like, I don't even fucking know you really. Like, I just wanted to grab a quick meal. And, you know, you slid on my picture, my DM. You put the ball in the court. Like,
they don't do that no more. So,
oh, really?
It's not shoot the shot no more.
Oh, man, what is it?
I don't
Just
know.
Eggplants in the DM.
Straight to the point.
Right, exactly. God damn, I felt good thinking that people still did that. Or the eyes, the looking eyes, they do that.
I don't know.
What do you know? You was clear to tell me that wasn't the case.
Shoot your shot is like 3 years ago though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I think.
All right, I feel that. But that sense of loneliness, you start to seek it. So just be aware of these reasons. So another thing, or not even another thing, I want to segue into being clear that our listeners take away, what does seeking validation look like? Because people will still be in denial. Like, no, I don't think I seek validation. We told you how and why you may be doing it, but let's be clear on what it looks like.
Easiest one is, I could go on and on and on.
Go on and on and on.
My phone rings like, hey, let me tell you this. Tell me what you think.
That's it. Tell me what you think.
And that for me, because I'm aware what's happening. Huh? Like I
hate the huh though. Like,
from me?
Yes. Huh?
Anywho, it's like, tell me what you think about this. Or it's, let me tell you what such and such just did and what it made me do. Was I wrong? Tell me if I was wrong.
Let me tell you what my best friend do. She do a thing like, she'll tell the whole story and be like, right? I'll be like, and she'd be like, right? I'm like, you're not fucking baiting me into that. She went in about the situation, said what she did, and be like, I was right? And I'm like, it's the shortest way, but it's the right. Tell me.
Oh, this what you do though.
Tell me.
This what you do. You lead with, I know I was wrong.
So that's not taking validation. I'm taking ownership.
No, it's still a little like you throw it out there and it's like the validation may be the validation of the wrongness.
Oh, got you. Okay, I could see that because I start with the wrong because sometimes it's like I don't need you to tell me that I was wrong. I already owned it. I was wrong, and this is what. And that's because I feel like I try to keep seeing myself first before I go into the story about what they did, right? So it's like, listen, I already know. I should have said this. I could have used a different language. I didn't have to curse. I didn't have to
raise my voice.
Exactly. I am very aware that when I am confused. That was one that I didn't say. That's when I seek validation. When I feel like I have a lot of choices, I feel like I could get decision paralysis, right?
Okay.
Where it's like option A, B, C, they all seem pretty good, where it's not like two are bad and it's easy. But when I have three ideal choices and it's like, when I feel like I can't go wrong, I will then say like, yo, I may be able to do this, maybe doing that. And I'll flat out say like, what you think? But because not that I don't seek validation, I seek validation in very weird ways. Like in my marriage at times, but I'm clear of what stems from it, right? Where it's like, oh, I felt a little insecure in these last few days. And then I'll be like, oh shit, I see what I just did. Mm-hmm. You know, but sometimes I will flat out say what you think when I am confused.
Okay.
And it's like, this is too many choices for me. And because perfectionism runs deep within me, I don't want to get it wrong. I will come back and make my final decision, but there are times that I do want at least a couple to kind of broaden, because I'll narrow into thinking that my way is the only way, and I know that there are limitless ways of whatever it is I'm seeking, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll grab a couple, and I feel like it does support me in coming back to my own, but it's like I gotta open it up a little bit. But I won't go past 2 or 3.
2 or 3 people?
Yes, because I feel like the more is going to bring about more confusion, and then I may then start to seek more validation, and then I didn't make a decision. So it's like, if I open it up to a few people and hear their responses, it's like, oh, wow, I didn't see it that way. I didn't think this. So now I got 3 perspectives, and now it's like, oh, okay. Now make a solid decision. But I'm so aware when I do it. It takes me a little longer in my marriage to catch it. But in personal relationships, I'm like, yeah, you need some validation. Like, I'll just flat out claim it. Like, yo, I need this. So what it looks like is what you think, right? Do you think this is a good idea? Sometimes it's just flat out, you think this is a good idea?
So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I'm thinking about my own. And so things that I'm very, very confident in, I don't usually, it's like, the validation doesn't matter for me.
Right.
The areas, one of my big things is like nurturing, taking care of, and things like that. And so I'm thinking about when do I ask validating questions, or questions where I need it? With my child, mm-hmm. right? I have always been my kid's favorite person, right? Mm-hmm. And so as she's gotten older, I'd be a little bit nervous. Like I'm moving. I be wondering if I'm getting like demoted ever, right? And so I'll be like, you love me? How much? And she does this thing, right? Our kids, she's like, the moon is too close, mommy, way past the moon. And I'm like, thank you. But then in the other thing still concerning, journey is, and I scroll back to see how, like, her outfits. I think I am, like, in my head, I am a child stylist. I'm like, my kid was fly as shit when she was little, right? And all I have ever said was, I fear the day she doesn't let me dress her anymore, right? And so now she 10, right? She be adding shit to the outfits, and I don't be liking. You saw that little outfit she had on the other day?
Yes, the skirt and the biker jacket.
The fuck, she got that. She made me buy her that outfit from Shein. I'm a Zara, right? That little $8.99 outfit from Shein, and I was like, that shit gonna have to go in the trash as soon as it comes out the dryer.
She looks cute.
Because it was almost showing her belly, and I'm like, this is dumb. But anywho, if I think I did a really good job, I'd be like, you was cute today.
Right.
Was you cute today? Anybody say anything about your outfit?
Or even things like after a birthday party. You know, ZJ thing is he don't do parties. He wanted to travel. So I was like, how was your trip?
Tell me I'm great. Tell me
exactly.
I did the damn thing. You know what I'm saying?
It's really sad, actually, when I think about it from a human development. Children are designed to validate their parents. They really just want to please them. So they know what to say. It's going to be in them 20s where it's like, actually, that shit was really trash. I didn't like most of the outfits that you put on me. We went to Bahamas 4 times. I was over that shit.
Well, no, like, this is what Journey does to me. She'd be
happen.
like, she's like, yeah, I really don't think you could pull it off. That's what that's her new thing is I don't know if you really can pull this off.
Yeah. And
right?
then your ego has to prove, like, let me show you.
What do you mean? Like, it was a hair. She'd been going to the hairdresser and hairdresser was on a little vacation, so I had to do hair. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do for this 10-year-old that's not like, she don't feel like she a kid because apparently barrettes are not the thing anymore. We found something online and she was like, didn't think he was going to be able to pull it off. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But even when I cook for people, right? Cooking is my love language, right? And so if I cook for people and they don't tell me, I'm picking up. I don't like talking on the phone, y'all. But if I have sent you food, if I have fed you, I don't give a fuck if I have, my friend was having her twins, I went and I froze meals and put them in her freezer. Did y'all have those meals yet? Like, I need to know. I need you to tell me, how was it? And so, yes, that is a way of seeking validation as well.
And it's good to be aware of it. It's nothing to be critical to yourself about. It's nothing to be harsh. Be gentle about it and know that, hey, I realize I do this behavior and I realize it's a little unhealthy. Some of it is okay, you know, but I realize that I do it now that you've said that you didn't like my meal. I haven't cooked it in 6 months now. That's where it's like, well, damn, I'm in a different realm now. So,
no, for me, think about it. My daughter father, when we first met, he was like, I cook. I am not a dessert baker type of person. And he was like, initially met him, he was like, about this banana pudding shit. And I was like, and he was like, and I don't like boxed banana pudding. And I was like, when I tell you, you want to talk about lab? One day I made fucking banana pudding and it was terrible. I got in my car at 7:00 in the morning so that I could remake it before I went to work. Like for me, when there's no validation or I feel like I failed, I go bonkers with it.
And that's the thing.
Unhealthy. It's crazy.
That's the part that's unhealthy, right? So not only I'm continuing to seek it, but what behaviors, what limits am I willing to go in order to get it? That's when it's like, well, wait a minute, bring it in, right? So we get the questions that we ask. That's how it shows up. Attention-seeking behavior. We talked a little bit about that. Thirst trapping on social media. Like, I got to find a perfect caption, so that's going to pull people in to validate this trip that I took. My captions are terrible.
Mine too. My shit's just be emojis because I don't know what else to write.
I have the dumbest, and honestly, I just keep quoting Jay-Z. That's my favorite rapper of all time, artist of all time, genius of all time for me. So I just say shit like, we just corner girls with the corner office. And I'll be like, oh, head with bars. Like, I'll say some shit from Reasonable Doubt, and it's like, that's as good as I'm getting is lyrics, right? But even that attention-seeking behaviors is the way that people demonstrate seeking validation, right? Searching for compliments is a way how. So when you asking yourself, do I do it? Think about that. You get dressed and you standing there like, it's like, the person's like, what? You're not gonna say nothing about my new panties and bras? Like, oh yeah, that's cute. Like, you flinging your hair.
Oh, Journey did that to me. My hair was like, I straightened my hair, so she was like, it was kind of like tucked into my coat a little bit. This girl, she was like, nice hair, short hair really looks good on you. I was like, my hair is not short, girl. She was like, oh, you had to pull it out your coat. And I was
Right.
So you're not about to do this.
We don't even realize those kind of behaviors are forms of the way we seek validation from our children, from even life. It don't even have to be someone you fully connected to. I got dressed today hoping that someone be like, oh, those foam runners is fire. Like, what? What is that saying to me? Again, it's nothing to be harsh about, but it's, what is this saying about me? Like, oh, am I a little insecure today? It's okay. Just come back to the awareness so that you could shift something. What else I have? Oh, this was my favorite. People seek validation by exaggerating stories.
That is, ugh.
I have to tell you this dramatic thing. I'm adding pieces to it for me to now say like, oh my God.
That is the quickest way for me to disconnect from a conversation.
I'm so sorry for you. Like, I see why you did this. Like, you are strong. You are amazing. No, you regular. Like, the situation was pretty regular, and that doesn't minimize your experience. But the key thing is you are exaggerating the experience in the story
to get the validation.
To get the validation. Not saying that because you think it was severe and I don't. That's not what that means. You are exaggerating it to get this validation from me. You ever did that? Because you've been on a roll of saying what you've been seeking and how. So have you ever done that? Like, embellish the story?
No, but I am dramatic. And so
look how loud you're talking now, right?
I'm dramatic, right? So when I tell my friends stories, I be like, I know y'all think I'm dramatic and everything. I don't really exaggerate. I be like, y'all, I promise you, this is exactly how it went. Right?
And that's why I'm like, if you gotta put the disclaimer, I'm not lying. Like, I'm not lying. This really happened that way. I will say that in the past, because I have been pegged as the mean person, blunt, very direct. It could be.
They said Mari said that Capricorns cause the most mental health issues in other people. You know, I was number 11, meaning I don't cause mental health issues. You knew that?
He said, because that's really not their intention, even though they are causing a lot of mental health problems, but it's not their intent. Capricorns
do it on purpose.
Give a fuck what he say. He's not the guru of.
But he's a Capricorn and he's the guru. Like, he is.
It was really funny. So I have been pegged with a lot of different characteristics. Some fit and some haven't, right? So I can admit that I have done that so that someone won't think that. And
you're from New York too, and people feel like,
so it's a natural aggressive side where it's like, why you gotta speak with your hands, why you speak loud, why you gotta enunciate every word. Like, so I get that, right? So I can acknowledge that I have exaggerated the story so that someone will feel like I wasn't being the meanie. Like, I didn't do that. I said hi to her 30 times, and it probably wasn't 30. I probably said hi to her 5. But I'm like exaggerating it so that I won't get pegged as what you did to her. What you did to in that relationship? Like what? Like what I did? How about we say what happened? So I can admit that I have done that so that someone will validate
and take your side type of thing.
Or not even take my exactly.
See you.
Not even take my side, but it's like,
I get it.
You're not mean. You really are very nice and warm and gentle. Like, so that validation, I've done that for the bulk of my life because people always was like, she's so mean. So no matter how an argument went, it was like, Soph was wrong. And that awareness probably came to me maybe 3-4 years ago. Like, damn, I've been trying to prove I'm not mean.
You know what? I have done that in relation to, and y'all have to go back to season 1 of our episodes, Who Wants to Be a Baby Mother, but I never wanted to be called a bitter baby mother. And so it'd be like, I did that. That was right? Like, I did good, right?
That was nice that I told him he could come, even though he said he wasn't coming. And he said he was coming in 5 minutes, and I made sure that the kid was right. That was good, right? just to prove I'm not bitter. That's good. Very good awareness. And I hope that that's what you guys are getting. But as we wrap this up with takeaways, but ultimately, why, on an unhealthy level, why does validation really not matter? Let's give it.
It doesn't matter
Jim.
because to me, it's a pattern that ends up never stopping.
Yes.
And so even if, and what ends up happening with people is you may get one person to say, hey, your outfit looked really nice today. But you feel like you need 10 people to say it.
Yes.
Or 10 people could say it and your man didn't say it. So all hell is still breaking loose.
Yes.
And so it's almost like a never ending.
Absolutely.
It's something that you're going to be seeking and it's never going to stop.
It starts out, what you said earlier was it starts out with the people who you dearly love and connected to. And then that spills into with coworkers, an employer, the person at Starbucks. It starts to spill into every area. So it's important to get a grip of it very early because you'll convince yourself it's just with those loved ones or the people you care about. And it never ends by going into everyone. So yes, and ultimately, it's not no one else's life. It's not their journey. You hear us say all the time, like, this is a one-man show.
Yeah. You versus you.
Exactly. So even what worked for that other couple, that other parenting, that may not even work for you. So
Absolutely.
You're seeking validation under the impression like, well, I think that she's a good mom. Yes, for her kid who has their own individual style, you have that. That may not even work. So I'm chasing this validation for something that may not even work for me. Yep. What you did in your marriage, that's why I said I like different perspectives where I can now tweak it and make it my own, but not coming just for yours. My husband is not yours. These kids, none of our situation is like yours. So
absolutely,
I'm seeking it for what? And ultimately, you won't be able to please everyone. So that one person who commented on your outfit, perception is an individual thing.
How you felt that day? That's what is
exactly. People be like, "Oh, he looks so good." Not to me, because what I see is something different.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I'm right or wrong, right?
Yeah.
But that's my perception, even down to outfits. Like, that's not my style.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that your outfit wasn't good, but no, I might not compliment it because that's not my style, right? So you're not going to please everyone. So even the one compliment or your own compliment kills it.
Yep.
So it's so important why it's not really important. It's not important because it really cannot. At the end of the day, you have to live with those results or that outcome. But you sought out this validation to make this decision that only impacts you.
Yep.
So what's some takeaways? We've been giving them throughout, but.
So my number one takeaway, and I think I kind of learned this in my 20s, and I remember saying this to you and our other friend, is that so sometimes it is best, particularly I think when it's like comes down to decision making, particularly sometimes you got to sit with it for a little while before you share it with anybody. Because it's very easily other people's thoughts and opinions can become yours. And that's how the decision paralysis and just being stuck ends up happening. So sometimes, and we can even go back to my example with the house. Like, I shared it with my father too soon before I had even decided. And so, once I had, so it stopped me for a little while. However, if I would have sat with it and said, yep, I'm going for it, and then shared it, maybe his feedback may not have bothered me so much. Or his lack of validation wouldn't have bothered me so much because I had already I was already solid in my decision. Yeah. So, sometimes just take space to solidify what your thoughts and your feelings are before you allow other people's thoughts and feelings to infiltrate yours, because that's what validation is about at the end of the day.
Yeah, mine is a pretty simple one. Keep sweating you, right? And what I mean by that is on a day-to-day, it doesn't have to be a big decision. It doesn't have to be, am I going back to college? Am I relocating another state, purchasing a home, starting a family? It doesn't have to. Just on a day-to-day, when you sweat you day-to-day, when it now comes to this big decision making, you've already boosted you up so much that the doubt, the past mistakes, the insecurity have already subsided, because you've already kind of set the ground for, we wait for the big moments and be like, okay, now let me affirm myself, and now let me do this self-love. And it's like, but if you've been doing it nonstop, when the big hitter comes, it's like, oh no, we done shit already. So anything else that comes is just healthy validation. Like, oh my God, that's so dope, you get in the house. Oh, who cares that you 40 going back to school? That's amazing. Like, it just becomes that kind of add a little gas to you, a little cherry on the top. But the sundae was already made day in and day out. So what does that look like? Waking up in the morning before you think the universe, God, whoever you adhere to, the next thing is like, oh, I'm so proud of you. And it's like, well, what if I ain't even do nothing? Just you being you today. You made it through yesterday. Like, whatever it is, just give yourself a compliment. Just
every single day.
Every day, sweat you. And then it's like the validation is just normal. Because like I said, remember, it is healthy. It's okay to want to receive validation from close people, outsiders, whoever. It's okay. But it shouldn't be impacting or thwarting your growth. So that's a quick, not always easy, but a takeaway is sweat you daily.
Good ones.
Before time. And like I said, some of them we already dropped, sitting with yourself, but also the awareness, constantly just being aware of how you are showing up. We spend a lot of time in this victim consciousness of what's happening to us, what the world is doing to us, what didn't work. But sometimes, like, don't forget to just see you. Like, damn, it don't have to be something that you share in the group chat with your friends, but see you. Like, damn, I didn't realize how much I really do seek validation. Today that changes.
Sounds good. This was good.
Good. I feel like we kicking off.
I think this was a good one with the whole Valentine's Day thing approaching, and people, like, you know, in the world of therapy, what happens is we always talk about like the ebbs and flows of, you know, people seeking therapy. And so Valentine's Day rounds out that time where we get this mad dash because people don't feel validated and people don't feel appreciated or seen or heard or whatever the case is. And so it all wraps up and intertwines in, you know, loving yourself and being your own number one cheerleader at the end of the day. So if you don't got a date for Tuesday, well,
how can you
don't got a date for, you know, even Wednesday.
Oh, no. All right. Everybody gets love. It's okay.
Yes. Love yourself.
Exactly. And be intentional about that, right? Because it gets tricky where people be like, what you mean love yourself? What would you want somebody to do? Oh, I would want some chocolate covered strawberries.
Get them.
Go get them. And you don't have to now play this game like Monte is saying, like, you're going to take a picture of it and act like they came from no one else. Like, let's don't do corny shit like that. But do the things that you want to do for you. I want to do a bubble bath. I want to have some champagne with my chocolate covered. Whatever it is, be intentional about sweating you. Stay off the gram if that is going to be a form of like, oh my God, I saw everybody, my husband and I, we don't really do Valentine's Day like that.
Some people do, like, some people don't.
But the funny thing is, if he don't give me a card, I'll be like, damn, yo, you ain't even get a card? But he'd be like, are you kidding me? We don't even do this day like that. So find the things, be intentional. Everything is about being intentional with you. So you guys know how to find us on Instagram at Real Therapist, Facebook at Real Therapist. You could email us at realtherapist@gmail.com. Send topics, ideas, anything else that you want to add to this What's Behind Seeking Validation episode, or even some past ones that you're just catching up on. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube.
Yes. Yo, people be on the YouTubes.
No, they really do. But we need to get our, make sure that you, what my kids say, drop a like and subscribe. Like, come on, guys. You got to get with it. But we definitely appreciate you. Be kind to you.
Till next time. Peace out.